great. This is Infinity, and I'm going to tell you about how I put together my Annie Oakley costume. So I think the most important factor is to get yourself an imitation toy rifle. This was bought on the secondary market somewhere years ago, long time ago. I don't remember where, but it's just solid wood. So if you could get yourself any kind of imitation rifle, that is step one. I'm wearing the cowboy hat that I wore with the costume, and that hat was purchased just at Spirit Halloween, which is a chain store. I don't know if you can recognize the logo, Spirit Halloween. That's where I got the cowboy hat. Now, as for the outfit, Annie Oakley wore different things on different days, but the general style was a knee to slightly lower than the knee skirt, either as a one-piece dress or a jacket. So in my wardrobe, I happen to have this jacket, which looked kind of Western-ish. And what I did was I shortened it. And I added a pin here just for decoration because gray is a dull color. But if you wanted to go all out, Annie Oakley did used to sometime wear all the medals that she won. If you have the time to make those, copy those medals, that would be a nice touch to the costume. So for the wide flare skirt, if you could pan down and get the skirt, I found a sundress which was also in gray, and I cut the sundress down and I turned the sundress into a skirt. I finished off the seam so that it is a proper skirt. There are videos on YouTube on how to turn a dress into a skirt if you have a dress that will fit the bill. And for underneath, I wanted to wear a shirt that was keeping with the time period. So back then in the Victorian times, Annie Oakley was always seen in a high-collared shirt or jacket. There wasn't, any chest exposure. So I had this shirt, which actually goes back to the 70s when I bought it, but it was fashioned against like an older time period. And I added the ruffles around the collar to keep with the Victorian time period. I actually used this shirt about 20 years ago for my Mary Poppins costume because that was the same time period. So this is the kind of shirts that the women wore. Or this is another option. The shirts, with the pleating and the embroidery down the front, but I would have had to have cut the collar down and alter the collar because they wore, they didn't have the men's collars. It was more of a high collar. And then I added a belt. I had a belt that looked kind of Western-ish. This belt has studs on it, and it was kind of big and bulky. So I added that. I basically just looked around to see anything that I could find that was Western. Now, ideally, you would wear gauntlet gloves, which are the leather gloves with a wide wrist, and and even if you could get the fringes, I didn't have that. I wasn't in the mood for spending $100 on the genuine thing, so I did find vintage leather gloves, and they worked out just fine. I happen to have these. So definitely add gloves, adds a lot to the costume. Now for footwear, she wasn't really wearing cowboy boots. She was wearing footwear that was what they wore at the time. I happen to have a pair of snakeskin boots, well, imitation snakeskin leather. So they're standard boots that matched the color. I used that. I thought it would be fitting. You could wear cowboy boots. In fact, I think I had a pair that I wore one night when I was going to be walking on grass, and I didn't want to mess up the heels on these other boots. But I don't recommend the cowboy boots because that's really not what she wore. Just try to get a nice boot that matches with your outfit, and if it looks Western in some way, all the better. The important thing is the hat, the rifle. She usually had her hair back in some way. It wasn't hanging in front of her face. So just take your hair, pin it back a little bit. Okay, and if you need to carry a purse for the night, which you probably will, I recommend something that is hands-free. So I have this that I was able to hang from my belt, or I found this after the fact, but this might have been appropriate because it looks kind of Western and you could wrap it around your waist somehow with the chain. So just don't bring a regular purse. Find some way to carry your belongings around your waist or hands-free in some way. I think I covered just about everything. Okay, so have fun.